What's up, Chicago? It's your boy Mace Jackson, and
I'm taking over. Hi, welcome to the Todd Show.
That is Todd, the program director over at WVON. This is your boy Mace Jackson, and we are going live right now. State Comptroller Leslie Munger is in the recording studio, and apparently the program director here has made her a guest commentator. Is that the case, Todd?
Well, Leslie's been in the news all week, and as I'm driving home and on the news at night, I see her everywhere, and she's got a message out there. So I guess you're going to get to the bottom of her message, but it's not fair that it's going to happen before my commentary on Friday.
That is why you watch the May Said, why you watch May Said TV, because we get you the exclusive behind the scenes before it even happens. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in case you don't know, Leslie Munger was appointed Comptroller of the state of Illinois by Governor Bruce Rauner to replace Judy Bar-Topinka, who had died. Now, Judy Bar-Topinka, for those of you that don't know, while she was a Republican, was a stalwart as a party. She was not really.
She was a
Democrat.
thorn to some people, I would say.
She's not really a Democrat or a Republican. We're broadcasting live as Vince comes in asking for water. Sorry. But actually, so she is now replacing Judy Bar-Topinka, who was known as a bipartisan stalwart. And now she's going to be facing a challenge from Susana Mendoza. Susana Mendoza is currently the city clerk, who's also a former state representative. She's also from Bolingbrook, so I got to represent for the Bolingbrook.
Me too.
All right. Now, Leslie Munger was also a former Fighting Illini, so I got to represent for the Illini ILL.
Mace, question for you.
Yeah.
Judy Barr, above and beyond as far as politicians in Illinois go, and the way people liked her, former treasurer, comptroller, and she advocated that the comptroller and the treasurer should be one position. And it's not anything that I'm hearing recently. I'm curious to see what
I think that would have been
Comptroller
easy.
Munger says,
maybe we'll ask her
or
about
Mendoza
that.
as well, because I know she was a huge advocate for that.
Mendoza?
Judy Bar-Topinka was.
I think it was very easy for Judy Bar-Topinka to be an advocate to wipe out any position, because the reality is, for Judy Bar-Topinka, whatever slot that she ran in, most likely she was able to win. The only time I think she lost is when she ran against Rod Blagojevich, and he spent millions of dollars running.
Yeah.
But he started his ad campaign years in advance. Now, some of you are probably tuned in right now because you are waiting to hear from our state
I only have half a
comptroller,
face, by the way. You don't want to
state
see the other
comptroller,
half.
who has made a decision to stop the legislators' pay until they get a budget. What do you think about that, Chicago?
I think that's an interesting concept. It's almost like if you don't do what I say, you're not going to get paid.
Well, how long do you get to not?
There are many people in these offices that don't need these checks, but there are several people that do need their checks that they get. And for those people, it puts them in a position of feeding their family, maybe, versus voting a certain way.
Well, I think Todd, I think it's very interesting if you look at our questions. That's one of the questions.
Oh my God! See what I love about Mays? Many people may not realize this. This man is prepared. I love preparedness.
I've got a list of questions because we know that you all have some questions that you want to ask, and this is going to be probably the most contentious race. Now, one of the things that I see people trying to do is shape this up as another proxy war, a Rauner versus Madigan kind of deal. But I don't know if that's going to be the case in this case. I know they're going to try and shape it that way, but I think Comptroller Munger has some very interesting perspectives, but I think it's going to be a challenge to disconnect from.
And Mendoza, I may not be an expert on this, but it doesn't seem like she has a relationship with Madigan. I mean, she ran against him. One of his people lost by 50 votes, ran against one of his people, won by 55% of his votes.
Now, let me just back up. I would beg to differ, Todd. I would tell you that Susana Mendoza is Speaker Madigan's chosen choice for this office. She was
Okay, for this
handpicked
office.
and selected. And since, let me say that while Susanna came into the game as an independent, she has since become pretty much a party loyalist. And so now, part of this
The way she talks in interviews, she doesn't. I heard her on an interview yesterday where she flat out denied that she was anywhere in Madigan, and then she went on to say that they are on opposite sides, that he never even extended an olive branch to her.
That's really not the truth. Let me just tell you.
That's why the angle she's talking, because she wants votes.
But because here what we've got is both of them are tied to the most disliked candidates in the state of Illinois. And with that in mind, is that the comptroller? Is she ready to come in? Oh, okay. Well, we have the director of external
I'm ready for
affairs.
lunch.
So you go get lunch. I'm going to finish this broadcast.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Looking forward to your commentary on Monday.
All right, guys.
All right.
Now stay tuned. We've got.
Bye, Mays fans.
Well, stay tuned. We've got Comptroller Leslie Munger, and she's coming up any minute now. Now, guys, are there any questions that you want to ask? I'm watching. What's up, D-Stan? I see you out there. What up, Rudy? Damon? Val, what's up? What up, Ed? What up, Bobby Q? Now, guys, is it true? Do you believe that? Todd said that when he heard Miss Mendoza, she said that she had no ties to Speaker Madigan, but I find that very interesting. See, now, behind the scenes, what I've heard is that, if you recall, there was initially a race for Comptroller, and State Senator Daniel Biss was in the race, but what I'm hearing is that Daniel Biss was moved aside to make room for Susanna Mendoza. And in moving him aside, he was promised the position of Secretary of State. But now what we're hearing is that the Secretary of State, Jesse White, is considering that he may run again, that he may be drafted if he's drafted by the community. Now, if you recall correctly, Secretary of State White said that he would not be running again. But it seems as though things have gotten a little shaky in the Democratic Party, and with no statewide African Americans on the ticket, it seems like Jesse White is going to be pulled off the shelf and be running again. So it'll be very, very interesting to see. Now, with this comptroller, Leslie Munger, I don't know if you all heard, but she decided that she was going to make Illinois legislators wait to get paid, just like the people, like the rest of the people in the state. Now, there seems to be some debate about that, and I've heard some rumblings in the African American community about our legislators, particularly the black legislators, that not being fair to black legislators because they rely on their checks much more than their white counterparts, which always makes me say, what's in it for the black people? Now, I got a list of questions. Has anybody got a question that you would like to have answered, that you'd like to ask? We're going to do 15 minutes with the comptroller. Now, she's in the studio and she's recording her commentary. You know how I do my May said every week. Well, she's doing her commentary right now, and I think she's going to address the state of the budget. Now, what's interesting is, what is she doing at WVON? It's not election season. What is she doing here? I just don't know. What's up to Tennille? Shout out. Are you back? Hey, shout out to my sister. What's up, Damon? Good to see you. Deborah Ray, I see you out there. Kang, what's up? I'm going to read some of these comments while I got you here. Rudy, you didn't say too much. Damon, Ed, you said, good afternoon, Mays. Another great topic. I appreciate that, Ed. I appreciate you listening and watching. Make sure that you share this broadcast with your friends. Bobby Q, Mike Madigan will not allow this. He will take it to court. Take what to court, Bobby? What is he going to take to court? Now, Deborah Reed, we got a majority of them have their other side jobs, won't miss their pay, LOL. And didn't Quinn previously do something like this, and it was said that thus unconstitutional, thus they should hold on to their pay? Well, I think actually Governor Quinn did that, and Governor Quinn did withhold their pay, and it was one of the most popular moves that a very unpopular governor made. Demond, I see you out there, man. Dude seem cool. I just turned in my question. Where's the money? I will ask her that. Rudy, you said if not Secretary of State, which other African American official has a chance to successfully win a statewide ticket? You know what, Rudy? I think that's fundamentally the problem. There is no black bench. None of our black leaders have been, I'm not going to say none, but very few black leaders have prepared, have a succession plan. Now, I'll tell you, and I said this in my commentary this week, we know that white folks got a succession plan, but what about us? They got a succession plan for us, but are we part of the plan or are we on the menu? You are watching Behind the Scenes with Mace Jackson as we are waiting for our Comptroller Leslie Munger to stop in and give us some real insight behind legislative pay. This legislative pay cut. Are you ready? Any other questions? I think the pay should be cut. I don't think. Now let me get this. Let me make sure that I'm clear. I do believe that. I do not believe that the pay should be tied to any specific legislation. But I do think with the fact that we are almost at a year without a budget, at some point we've got to do something. And I think one of the challenges that I think that happens with our legislators sometimes is that they really live in a different world than the people that they represent or that they purport to represent. Understand when I tell you, think about the gravity of the Senate president trying to impose a gas tax per mile. In what world did he think that was going to fly? Rudy, I don't know if their travel stipends have been withheld, but I do think that'd be another thing because that's another way that they make money that becomes profitable. I think that they should feel the pain of what would happen if the state really shut down. Maybe everybody can make some decisions. You see, because won't just suspend the Democrats' pay, won't just suspend the Republican pay. We'll be suspending everyone's pay. You are watching Mace Jackson Live, and we are at WVON waiting patiently for the Comptroller, Leslie Munger, to explain to us these legislative pay delays. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when we do this show, I don't know if I'm going to jump out of the shot and I'm going to step out to the side and I'll just ask the questions from the side. And you'll hear my voice in the background, but we'll let the Comptroller speak directly to you. What's up, John Dixon? How are you out there? What's up, Edward Serrano? I appreciate you tuning in. Christian, what's up, man? This used to be your office. What happened, man? You must have went on to make some more money, man. We got to keep up with you. We got to watch you, man. You making all the dough. You are tuned in right now to May Said Live as we are waiting for the Comptroller. That's right, Leslie Munger, to stop in and talk to us. Give us some insights as to this legislative pay delay. What you thinking out there? Do you think the legislative pay delay should be do you think that legislators' pay should be delayed until they get a budget passed? I think it's not a bad idea. So, as I have been talking, as we have been anxiously waiting, we are live and what is this? It is our Comptroller, Miss Leslie Munger. I'm gonna let you sit in the seat right here. You'll be in the hot seat. And say what's up to the Facebook Live audience. Tell them hi, how you doing? They're out there. They are out and they're ready. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been looking forward to this. So Comptroller, I know you are busy. I know you're slammed and you got a lot of things to do. So I got some questions. People have been hitting me up on Facebook asking me kind of what's going on. But before we get started, why don't you tell us a little bit about, tell us about your job, your position, and what it is you're actually responsible for.
Well, I'm the Comptroller for the state of Illinois. It's my job to pay the bills of the state. And that's challenging to do without a budget in place. We have billions of dollars of bills backed up waiting for payment. We have limited revenues coming into the state. And I'm mandated by courts to make payments in certain timetables. So this is what I do. We work we work to bring revenue into the state, to try and get our bills paid on a timely basis, to make sure everything we're legally obligated to pay is paid as quickly as possible. But it gets harder and harder as we continue to run our state without a budget. And we increase the debt that we have in the state because we continue to spend more money than we have coming in.
Now, Comptroller, was this a job was this what you expected? Was it everything that you hoped for? Was it everything that you expected it to be?
I have to be honest, when I first was asked to become the Comptroller, to step up and fill the shoes left by Judy Bartopinka, which were very large shoes, I might add, I really did not know what to expect, and I certainly did not expect to be in the first year ever where we have been 10, almost 11 months into our fiscal year without a budget in place. And it's really been a challenging time. Although I feel lucky to, in some respects, to be here to help our state. I come from the business community. I spent 25 years in business and ran a lot of brands that some of you might recognize: Degree, Perspirant, Suave shampoo. I worked for Helene Curtis for a long time, and I also have a long record of volunteerism in an organization that serves developmentally disabled adults in Lincolnshire, where I live. So I think it's a good mix of skills to be the comptroller these days.
All right. So.
Grab my water.
No problem.
Thank
Here you go. Here's your water.
Thank you.
Oh,
Oops,
oh, sorry about that. So, Comptroller, you made headlines a couple days ago by announcing that you were going to suspend legislators' pay. Now, what made you take such a radical step?
Well, first I want to clarify what I announced. I'm not suspending pay. I am delaying pay. And I'm legally obligated under the law to pay legislators. They passed a law under Governor Quinn a number of years ago to ensure that no matter what happened, whether we had a budget or not, that they would continue to get their paychecks. And so I have to fundamentally follow that law. But as I've traveled all around the state, as I've talked to people and organizations and seen the hardship that not having a budget has caused, it really made me feel terrible that we were getting paid, me as a constitutional officer of the state, and our legislators, those of us who are sent to serve the people of Illinois, are getting paid while the people who we serve are not. It just, to me, felt to be fundamentally wrong. And so I started really looking into the details of the law and what I was obligated to do. And I am required to make a payment monthly. However, we don't have the cash available to actually fully make that payment. And so what I announced was I'm going to run the payments, the payroll, on the due date, complying with the law, but then I'm going to put those pay vouchers in line with everybody else in the state. Currently, we have about $7.5 billion of bills waiting to be paid. We're on about a 2-month delay. And when those dates come up for payment in the pile of bills, all of us who are owed a payroll pay from the state will get paid then.
So this does affect you too?
It does. It's got my all the constitutional officers, so me, Secretary of State, Treasurer, Attorney General, Lieutenant Governor, and Governor, along with the 177 members of the General Assembly. We are all in this. We are all going to wait in line for payments just like everybody else in the state.
Oh, well, that doesn't seem like that's going to make you very popular with the legislators. Do you think this will have any impact on the budget impasse?
I did it. I made this decision not to hold a club over everyone's head per se, although I do think it will help by putting us all in the same shoes as the people who are waiting for payment. It will make us all very aware of what we are doing to everyone in the state, and hopefully it will create some urgency to focus on getting together and getting a solution in place. And I think one of the other things that's really bothered me is I've watched what's happened over the last several weeks since people have been back from the legislative break, is that they keep passing bills that are not urgent, things about flamethrowers and putting catfish on a list of fish that can be hunted with a spear. And passing legislation that allows me to legally make payments to things, but not providing the funding to go with it. All that does is lengthen the amount of bills, the time it takes me to pay bills in the state, and creates a longer wait list for those in line. And so I do think the legislators will think twice if they pass more legislation that provides the legal authority but no money to go with it. It'll just make it longer for them to wait in line for their own payment.
So, how do you respond to legislative complaints? Now, I'm a Facebook guy, so I've been looking at Facebook, and I know you've got a lot of legislators in a jam because they they want their checks, but they can't really say much. But one legislator spoke out and said that this really only leads to wealthy people being able to run for office. How do you respond to that?
Oh, I don't think that's true at all. If we had a budget in place, we wouldn't have this problem. If we had legislators that passed budgets that lived within our means, so we did not have $7.5 billion worth of bills, I would not have to take this action. If I had plenty of cash available to make all the payments on a timely basis, people would be getting their checks as normal. The reason I took this action is because we have had for years, in fact, since 2001, we have not had a balanced budget in the state of Illinois. We have bills that have been piling up in excess for years. when I was sworn in January of 2015, that we had $8 billion of bills in the state that we could not pay. Again, just backed up waiting for payments. This is a long time problem. And the reason I took the action is because we're out of money. So if the legislators actually passed budgets that were balanced and we lived within our means, everyone will get their paychecks on time.
Now, what do you think that people don't understand about this budget crisis? Because particularly in the African American community, it says that they're trying to balance the budget on the backs of the people that can least afford it. What don't we understand about what's going on?
You know, I think the people who are being hurt the most are people who, well, actually there's several groups of people. There are people that rely on help from the state that without a budget in place right now are really being hurt because a lot of the social safety nets that the state has in place are going underfunded or are experiencing significant delays, which are causing them to reduce or in some cases shut down programs. Those people have been hurt, and actually there are a lot of those organizations that serve the Black community that have been hurt. I was in a safe haven earlier this week, yesterday as a matter of fact, talking to them, and they serve a group that really needs help. They're changing lives there, and yet we owe them $1.3 million. I was at last week in East St. Louis at the Leslie Bates Davis Community House, where they help people get back on track and lift themselves up, and they just laid off 117 people. So those people are hurt. And then I think the other thing though is that people need jobs. And the policies that we've had in place in our state for a very long time are sending employers and jobs out of the state. It's shrinking our tax base. It's making harder and harder to pay for the things that the state should be paying for. And so the budget impasse that we're in right now, the fact that we have billions of dollars in unpaid bills, the fact that we pay a lot in interest on late fees and fines and we spend our tax dollars poorly, all these things collectively put pressure on our ability to fund the most critical services of the state, which long time impacts people most in need, as well as makes businesses who end up bearing the brunt of this say, this is ridiculous, I'm moving away, and then there go those jobs with it.
All right, so now you have got a very, very important event coming up in November. I almost called it your re-election, but actually you were appointed. So this is actually going to be the first time that you're running for this position, and you are running to fill some pretty big shoes. The shoes of Judy Bar Topinka, who I really don't know what party she was in. I mean, they try to tell us she was Republican, but she was at every Democratic event, etc. Those are some very big shoes to fill. So my question is, why would the Black community consider voting for you now when they could put a Democrat in that spot?
Well, I will say I feel those big shoes of Judy Bar Topinka's every single day as I travel around the state and talk to people. I decided very early on, I don't think anyone can really completely fill her shoes. I was just going to try and be the best comptroller I could be, serve the state and the people of Illinois well, and live and follow the law. And I come from the business community. I spent most of my time in business, as I mentioned earlier. So I bring a perspective of not a political person in here. And I am here really only to serve the state. It's the only reason I decided to take this position.
You don't need the job. You don't need the job.
I don't need the job. And actually, I offered to not be part of the state pension program. I'm not taking a state pension. I do not participate in state paid health care. I do have a salary. But that is really it, because I really view this as service. And I intend at some point to go back to my life. And as a result, I can do what I think is right, and to lead and I think to serve all the people of Illinois. And that's what I've been trying to do. So I would hope people will look at the record of what I've done, trying to be a good comptroller to all the people of Illinois, try to follow the law in whatever I do, make decisions that are right, maybe not necessarily always politically best for me, but to do what I think is right. And I try to think of it as, what's the worst thing that can happen? The worst thing is I don't get reelected and I go back to my nice life. So while I'm here, I'm going to do what's right for the people, and I hope that they appreciate that.
All right, and then I'm going to, my world famous question.
Yeah.
What's in it for the Black people? So Now, guys, I will ask anybody the question. What's in it for? So tell us what's in Leslie Munger for the Black people.
Well, because I'm here, really trying to just do what's right. And because I also bring a long connection with social service organizations, I understand personally how difficult it is when the state is so far behind paying bills that we owe. It makes it very hard for us to continue helping those people who need help the most. And honestly, a lot of those organizations serve the Black community right now, those who have seen programs shut down or at least people on furlough, people losing their jobs. And so what's in it for the Black community is to I think, a comptroller and will continue to be one who is a strong voice for helping to bring and to support the services to support your community. I'm working hard, as you know, to with a number of people throughout our city and our community to bring jobs back and to bring employers back and to help bring back programs that will put people on a path where they can have a great life. So I think that there's a lot of things that our state has done that have made that difficult and have sent jobs and job opportunities out of the area. And so one of the good things I have being a business person is the opportunity to bring some of those back.
Wonderful. All right. This has been an awesome opportunity. I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I'm looking forward to hearing your commentary. Is it this Friday?
This Friday.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, you've got to tune in to WVON this Friday. You can hear our comptroller giving her first commentary. It'll be at 9:20 a.m., 5:20 p.m., and then again at 11:55. Now, do you have anything that you'd like to tell the Facebook audience or world? Because once this leaves Facebook Live, we're going to chop it up and put it back up. So is there anything else you'd like to let the people know or tell anybody? I want to make sure that all my Illini know she is a fellow Illini alum, ILL.
INI.
There it is.
Bleed orange and blue in our family. And not only am I an alum, my husband is an alum, and both of our sons are Illinois alums. So big Illini fans. I'm really looking forward to the football season, I might add, with Lovey as our new coach. So excited about that. I guess I'd just like to say, thank you everyone for hanging in there. Those of you who are connected with social service organizations, please reach out to our office. Vince Bass is my Director of External Affairs. We will work with you if there's a legal way to get a payment to you. We will work very hard to get that done. We've been doing it all these past many months as we've been in this mess in the state. If there's something I need to know about or place to be, let Vince know. We'll do our best to be here. I'm really working hard to try and be the best comptroller I can be and to be fair and follow the law, and I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate the patience, actually, of everyone here in the state putting up with this, and I'm trying to do everything I can to try and help urge a resolution on this budget impasse.
Okay. This has been May Said TV Live with your comptroller, state comptroller, Illinois comptroller, Leslie Munger. She is a former she's always fighting Illini, ILLINI, but we want to keep on providing these insights and behind-the-scenes information so you can make the best decisions to move our community forward. I'm your boy, Mace Jackson, and this is May Said TV Live on Facebook. Peace.